So I'm going to be doing some, what am I doing other than screwing that up? Command 0 on that screen. There we go. I can see comments here, but I'm probably not going to pay too much of attention to them. I'm going to be focusing more on the code here. So let's see if I can do. Yep. All right. So let's get started. Maybe take a look at this. We are going to be um, working on the code for a final project here, a web page project. And I'm going to go through the structure of the project over on the left side first, and then we'll actually get into the code. So let's talk about this over on the left side of the screen here. We have an index.html file, and we'll even back a step up. We are in the root, so we went to File, Open Folder, and then the name of the project we've got here. There is the project, but it's already open. So yes, I opened the folder that the project is in. So all these files that are in that root folder, that folder for the project. Index.html, about.html, or any other second .html page. Index is the most important. About, contact, portfolio, whatever might be the second one. Then there's a folder for the images, either images, lowercase, or img, uppercase or lowercase img. And then a CSS folder, uppercase, lowercase as well. I've seen both. Inside of that CSS folder is a style.css file. And then in your images folder are, guess what? Images. What I gave folks was this file folder structure. I'm going to make that file folder structure go away. So we're in the index.html file. And let me go ahead and see if I can make this screen behave there. I mean, I'm zoomed in pretty good here. Should be able to see all this. But what I do is gave the structure of a page here with some tags for identifying parts. And where people were asked to fill out the parts with content, get all that complete, and then work on the CSS for things. So we've got a little catching up to do because we only have the structure here. And I think what we'll do is we will do this. So here we are. Let's talk about the header. And header is cool because we've got a few things going on here. We need an image for our logo. We'll go here. Equal logo. Obviously, we'll get our source in here at some point too. So sure, I skipped that, but there we go. That will go there, and whether or not we turn that into a link, we'll talk about that. But then inside of the navigation, we'll have a UL. Inside of that will be at least one list item, and that will be a link. So let's go ahead and get that code in there as well. Does that work? Yeah, sweet, sweet, sweet. First one will be that link to Octothorpe, aka hashtag, and then maybe about.html since we have that. And if we did have another page, it might be contact. So at least two, maybe three, I don't know, could be four links there as well. All of those links. And I guess before we get too crazy, let's go live with this thing. I think people need to see what this actually looks like, right? Not a whole lot to show other than a broken image link here and 3 bullets for nothing. And I believe those are, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, those might be buttons. Who knows what those are, but we'll figure that out once we get there. We do need to get an image for our company. So free logo. Actually, probably Canva. In all honesty, folks, Canva is just kind of really dope. I mean, here we go. I'm going to do it down and dirty. Create a design, create a logo. Here we go. The World Studios, Vander Corp. Why not, right? Oh, it kind of looks like headphones almost. Or a real bad haircut, but I can dig it. So let's go ahead and we'll keep it black and white locked up tight. We'll download this. Let's download a PNG. You cannot, with a free Canva account, um, have a transparent PNG, which kind of stinks, but you know, it is free. So I'll just still will download a PNG though. Download this, and it needs to go in that images folder of this project. So where was it? Desktop? Is that where I had this? Yeah, desktop. Here we go. And then images. I will call this the Vandercorp logo. Cool, cool. Yours will obviously be what yours is called. And now over in VS Code, go back to Explorer. We should see bingo, bango, bongo. So we've got our image here now. We can see it in the images folder because that's where we put it. So as long as we put all of our images there, we'll be able to find them later. There we go. And then image source, I can just start typing images and the name of the folder comes up. That's pretty cool. Lets me know I'm doing what I'm accessing a location that actually exists. Hit enter, and then we'll get a list of the images, and I can click that image, bingo, bango, bongo. Save this. Go take a look. There it is, the Vandercorp logo. Yes, it is the 500 pixels by 500 pixels, which is what I believe Canva size is. Pretty sure. So we need to change the size of this image, but we'll do that with the CSS, and we're almost there. We could technically do it with the CSS right now. Actually, let me get the rest of this content in because that was it first, right? Content. So home, about, and contact. That is really, I can even scoot it down one size. This is ready for us to style with CSS. So let's do that because again, we could chop this up, and this will make more sense for chopping up and showing these parts. The names of which you have things may or may not change, maybe slightly different. But that's kind of cool because then that just means, okay, you've got to read different code. This section, maybe not so much, but definitely the sections down below, we're going to run into a whole bunch of different names of things when it comes to the classes that are being used that not going to expect you to change any of your HTML. You might revise your HTML slightly, but please don't just go ahead and make your HTML match exactly like what I have if you already have functioning HTML with content. If you can go in and understand how these classes work and how you can apply them and how you can use divs to divide up content, you should be able to take what you have and make it work, even with maybe just a few small tweaks. But anyway, we've got our content in. So here we go. Here's our header. Logo, home and about, contact. We'll deal with the logo first. So this image tag is inside of a div with the class of logo. Fabulous. So we can just, and we aren't even constraining our image size here. So that'll be sweet. We can do that. We can set the size of the container first. So we're going to select the size of the container, select the .logo container. And I'm not even going to worry right now about how the CSS is structured, folks. That's a bigger conversation for a bigger day. However you can get your CSS written and readable will be fine. So here's the logo, and let's just go ahead and make the let's say the logo we want to be 100 pixels by 100 pixels. 100 px, 100 px. Save that, and just for troubleshooting here, kind of debugging, I'm also putting a red border on that so we can see kind of sort of see there that red border and that image breaking out of that. So this image is not being constrained. And let me actually make that a little bit wider so you can really see it, because that's tough to see. There we go. This is the 100 by 100, and this image being as big as it is 500 by 500 is escaping out of that. So we need to do something to constrain this image into the box that we have for it. That's something that we're going to use for all of our images, and we can do that here. So right under the body, I'm going to select images, and because this is just the image element, there's no period in front. The period is only for things that are classes. So the element image, we're going to go ahead and set the max width to 100 pixels, and then the max height 200 to 100 pixels as well. Boom, boom, boom. And now you can see here we are constrained in that kind of sorta. Why are we a little bit bigger? Is it because of why are we escaping outside of that? I don't know. But once we do get rid of that, we should be okay, I think. Who knows? Okay, good enough for now. So we have our um, logo in the upper left corner. We resize that by sizing all images to have a maximum height and maximum width of 100 pixels. Oh, no, 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 not 100 pixels. Sorry, that's where that was screwed up. 100%. Oh my goodness. So here, wow, oh wow, wow. That's why. Oh, nope, we were right there. Oh, thank goodness for editing. 100%. There we go. That's where we were screwed up. Now we save that. Now we go take a look. Now we fit nice and snug as a bug in a rug. Boom, schlock, lock, boom. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to get rid of that red solid border here. But that is one thing. If you're trying to see your divs, that's a good way to see your divs. Put that red border around them. Kind of see how things are laid out. All right, so now we want to get this navigation to maybe hang out over here. And navigation needs to be styled a whole bunch differently anyway. So if we look at our HTML, our navigation, we've got nav tags and then unordered list and then list items. Let's start by styling the list items themselves and work our way out. Would that make sense? Would that make sense? Yeah, why not? So in order for us to select the list items inside of the nav, we can do that with CSS pretty easy. We can just say nav li, and that will select any. If you hover over it, it tells you what it does. Basically, nav tag, and no matter what's in between, any li descendant of a nav will get styled like this. So I could come in here, we could do something like font size, 200. Nah, that's way too big. 20 pixels. Sure, let's do pixels. Boom. There we go. Made that a little bit bigger, right? Would this trickle down? Text decoration? That trickle down? Why is that only that element though? Huh. What happens when that goes away? Still not underlined. What the funk diddly young? How is that not a link? Oh, doy. All right, so there, somehow that got out of whack. So troubleshooting, right, folks? That's another thing. So, and sorry, I'm just doing all this live, so bear with me. Because coding, these are the mistakes that you're gonna run into. So in this situation here, I was like, visually, what's going on here? Why is that not a link? Went back to the code, and you can see my closing anchor tag here is on the left side of the word contact. These tags are meant to wrap things to identify them. So this entire link here has to include the word contact, which is the word we see to be able to click. So now I fixed that. There's the underline. You can see. Okay, so now it wasn't selecting the LI that did that. There. Text. Decoration none. Yeah, there we go. So oh yeah, because I tried to do it to the list item, didn't work. I had to do it to the link because it's actually at the anchor tag, link tag that we get that. So, and sorry, it's not really the link tag, anchor tag. A for anchor tag makes a link. Little confusing. So here we go. Got some text decoration there. Let's go ahead and, well, we want to change the font for the entire body. So let's do that at the body level. And we'll just do font dash family. And I'm just going to pick something cheap and easy, folks. Don't overthink it. Y'all know how to play with fonts. It's a bigger conversation. I just picked one. because I know this has a sans serif font. That's just ones with the little doodads on it. Boom, there we go. Looks a little bit different, looks a little bit better, looks a little bit cooler, still clicks. No hover state on these links yet. Maybe let's change the color, right? I don't even know what color palette I've got for my page. So let's just pick brown because that's going to be ugly. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. And then let's do, let's go ahead and change what the hover state on those links looks like since we're here. So we're going to select the same thing, exact thing. Nav A, we don't need the size. We don't need the text decoration because we're going to do an underline a little bit different. We could leave it brown, but let's do this. Border, bottom, 1 pixel, solid, brown. Why not? Why did that do that there? Oh, because we do hover, pseudo hover. There we go. That colon hover is what turns that into a pseudo class. So when you hover over it now, you get that underline. Okay. Looks like our list items are kind of close together. We can, well, that'll all resolve itself when we change how this looks. So one of the easiest things to do, this will be one of the first places where we would be applying and turning something into a flex box. So, right, list items here are using flexbox to change the orientation. So these list items here by default are block items, which means they all take up a brand new line, start a new line. We want them to play around to go horizontally. We might have done that with floats. We played a little bit with flexbox, but not enough to be that confident with it. So what we're going to do here is we are actually going to use flexbox to make these links hang out horizontally. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a class called d-flex. D-flex. And then inside of that, we're going to do one thing, display flex. So by default, items have a block or an inline block display value. Here we now have a class that we can apply as a utility class. So, whenever we want to, just in specific instances, does one thing. Let's take over to our HTML. And now this, without getting too crazy, Flexbox really depends on this parent-child relationship. If we take this unordered list here and give it the class of display flex, which sets the display property to flex, this container, this UL, becomes a flex container. And then each of its children, so all 3 of these LIs, become flex items. And the default arrangement for flex items is horizontally, you can see here. So just changing the class of this container, or basically the display property of this element, to flex cause us to go horizontally. And now obviously we've got these bullet things and all this other happy crap that we have to deal with. And honestly, I can't remember. Oh my goodness, I can't remember how to do this with link items or with list items. So if I want to style and I don't want to hunt and peck, okay, here we go. Let me go to, I'm going to search for W3 schools. I want to look for, how are we going to search for this? CSS for list items. Oh, maybe we should have went to the second link here. Okay. All right. Okay, so list style type, that's what it is. So, but we set that at the unordered list level. So here we go. We can go now. I think in our CSS, we would have to select the nav UL. So I'm going to come up above the nav A only because that's hierarchical then, right? So the UL's in the nav, and it's going to be list style type none. List style type, oops. Enter, and we will set that to none. And then boom, our list items are gone. Let's go ahead and the unordered list, let's set our padding to 0 and the margin to 0. Yeah, you see how that all moved over now? and things change. So now we're working with kind of zero here, or back from zero with no indenting. So all the indenting that happens is going to be what we do ourselves. So let's go ahead and say these list items want to have margin around them. So then that's after the unordered list, right? If we're thinking sequentially, it goes UL. Well, let's put this in and go look at our HTML, right? It's the nav, then UL, then LI, then anchor. Our structure over CSS, nav, UL, LI, anchor. So list item, let's give it margin of 10 pixels, see what happens. Bad, maybe 20. It's not bad either. We could live with that for now. And then we want these things to hang out vertically, right? Or I guess, no, they're hanging out horizontally. We want these to be horizontal to the logo. We could do this with grid. We could do this with CSS grid. If we think about the container for the logo itself, one thing, and then the container for the navigation, another, we have two things. And Flexbox might make sense. Flexbox might be the easiest thing to do here, right? So if we come in and just say this header has a class of deflex, then the logo, this div with the logo in it is a child, and this navigation is a child. So now these fools should be hanging out horizontally. Boom, folks. And if we wanted to use any more Flexbox, CSS Flexbox, W3, check out W3 schools. What might we want to do? Do we get into here we go. Is there a sub? Flexbox, Flex container. Oh, excuse me. So Flex container, that's what we're just creating. I don't know if you heard me burp, I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Okay. We want to know this. Justify content and align items and align content. This will be important for us. And also flex direction. But if we all, yeah, we're going to do all this with Flexbox. That's going to be the easier thing. So right now, what I want to do is I'm going to use justify content, and we're going to use a property called space between, or a value space between, to set the space of the content here. So let's go ahead and justify content. We should do that at we have to do it here at the header level. So we've got two choices. We could make a CSS class, another utility class that just does one thing, and that one thing being to justify content with space between it. Or we can select the header and do some specific styling to the header. I think where everybody's probably at as a beginner, just combining utility classes when they make sense and then selecting the element themselves when it makes sense is probably the way to go. So we are going to have a mixed bag here, but I'm going to try to pick the thing that makes the most sense for what we're trying to do. We want to impact what's going on specifically in this header. And there's might be multiple things that we're going to do. So we are eventually going to have to select the header, and let's then do the layout of it there. So we're going to come in here, and after our nav, but it's actually before our nav, right? It's almost directly under the body, and I guess under the image, because image is a global thing. We're going to come in here and say header. We do not need the period because it's an actual element, so we don't need the period. And we're going to do justify content space between. And now we take a look here. Hopefully there is space between. One other thing I think I asked folks to do, and let's do this here. Why does that wrap keep going away? I'm going to go ahead and set the width of the body to 960 pixels, and I'm going to do margin auto. This just helps to keep things under control, right? Here we go. Like if your header and looks like this, folks, I'm down like Ron Brown. Don't get too crazy about going farther than any of that. Yeah, if your header can do this, folks, I'm happy. We aren't going to talk about responsiveness yet. Make it work, then make it work better. So we're gonna get this layout done, and then we'll talk about responsiveness. All right.